1982, I first saw Star Wars, and there was a fellow named C-3PO. It was actually the first interaction I had with what would be considered AI. As a character in Star Wars accompanying Luke Skywalker. Rather positive character, representative, a lot of good in the world. He was a nice robot. Following that, I saw a film called Blade Runner. That was a bit darker. Then there was another one, 2001: A Space Odyssey. There was a computer named HAL, also not, a force for good in the world, or at least from a human perspective. And since then, many other popular references to AI and the darkness that might accompany it. Having said that, AI is here, and it is the future, and it is already responsible for great advancement, technological, social, etc. But as this gentleman, George Hinton, said, he said that he's one of the guys who founded it, foundational work in machine learning, etc. He said it needs to be controlled quickly. And he also said something that was a bit worrisome. He said that he regrets some of the work he's done to make it a reality. Elon Musk, in one of his debates, famous debates with Jack Ma, he suggested that in a few years, AI will perceive us the way mankind perceive apes. Before we get into into how it impacts the future of work, etc., I'd like to go down the line here with the panel and ask each of the panel members, for the audience's benefit, whether they see AI as a force for good, a force for evil, or simply a tool that can be harnessed to progress human civilization. Starting with you, Dr. Naqvi.
Thank you. Well, I think there's no doubt about it that AI is a tool, and like any tool, we can use it for good or bad. And I think that is what is important to understand, is that AI sits at the top layer. And you have to ask the question, how this answer that AI gives, what is the basis of that? Where is the data coming from? And the answer will be that this data is coming from all over the world, but primarily, since we are aligned with the Western Bloc, it is coming from the West, and specifically from the US. So all of these answers that are being given, what is more popular, what is this, ये आपसे नहीं पूछ रहा है कि आपने सुबह को क्या किया, या आप किस मोहल्ले में गए, या आपने क्या खरीदा, ये this is based on data that it has acquired. We didn't contribute to that data, so we are not part of that. So one can think of it as a means of digital colonization that is taking place over here. We are becoming irrelevant. हम क्या सोच रहे हैं, हम क्या सुन रहे हैं, हम क्या पहन रहे हैं, हम क्या खा रहे हैं, it's not important. So we have to be very careful about this AI, in the sense that we have to ask the question, iske piche kya hai? Where is this data? And also understand that since we are not going to be able to stop this technology, we have to come up with an alternative. Use our brain power that exists, plenty of it in this room, and the youngsters outside, to build the tools that we need for ourselves, and not let somebody else dictate this answer for us.
Omar?
Thank you, Sundar. So, like anything else, especially in the technology domain, AI comes with its sets of risks, right? And abhi jitne hum nascent stages mein hain, the risks are unexplored, unquantified, and only time will tell what knock-on effects have. I think the really important part to understand here is the difference between where Pakistan is right now and the rest of the world. And we're lagging, and that distance is growing with more advancements happening outside Pakistan. So for us, I see that as an opportunity where a lot of the basic gaps, जो fundamental level पे हमारा system broken है, वहाँ पे बहुत significant value add हो सकती है. But for that, we have to be ready to tackle, harness, and use it for the purposes that we intend. So the objectives of why we want to use AI and how we'll use it and who will benefit and who will be impacted by it adversely is really important. A lot of our work is with the public sector and strengthening systems and processes in the public sector, setting the direction right, enabling the public sector to make more informed decisions. And there is huge potential just because of the sheer low baseline that we have, जहाँ पे हमारे पास time पे data नहीं आता, उस data की processing नहीं हो सकती, उस data की basis पे sophisticated decision making नहीं होती. And so there is a lot of opportunity that exists, but at the same time, once unleashed, these technologies can go either way. And so thinking about the purpose of how AI should enable decision making rather than be the decision maker is something that we really have to be cautious about.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. You know, this is the most transformative period in the history of mankind. According to the Mayans, this is the end of the world was supposed to happen around now. The yogis believe the same as well. And it is truly, really a major turning point in ways that we can't even imagine, where our intellect and our physical capacity is absolutely going to become irrelevant in the very near future. And it's not more than, I mean, near future means between 5 to 10 years from now. Where in 18 years' time, AI, according to the current projections, will be 1 million times smarter than human beings. So that's what we're talking about. But this is a time of incredible opportunity. And I'm seeing it. I work with AI. I'm on the board of Khan Academy, Pakistan, where we're launching it to enable teachers, right? To be able to become the best teachers that they can be. It'll be a great equalizer. Same thing with students. It'll be a great equalizer in terms of enabling them to the next level of opportunity. Same thing with healthcare, right? Same thing with every area. I also sit on a board of a company called Bakhabar Kisan, where we're seeing phenomenal opportunity opening up with AI. So at least for the short term, it will be a great equalizer. And countries like Pakistan have a huge opportunity because we don't have a legacy, we have nothing, right? Now it's going to be much tougher for the West because it's going to be a painful transition no matter what. It is a transition. For us, it's a lot easier. We're starting from zero. It's an age where everything we've imagined is going to be questioned, challenged, and enabled in ways we can't even think about, right? Energy costs coming close to zero, right? Transportation costs coming to zero. When you talk about teleportation, you know, if Einstein at 162 IQ could imagine the theory of relativity, right? And enable the whole nuclear revolution, what will AI with 1 million times smarter than that, right? Come up with, and how the nature of physics, nature of reality, everything is going to come to question. I will dig deeper into it, but I truly believe, but I come from a place that humans are spiritual beings. We are infinite beings. This brain is not a computer. It's a receiver, right? We're tapping into a much larger consciousness. And if you come from that paradigm, that's the paradigm shift we're talking about, the age of the spirituality or age of consciousness, where people say AI may be able to experience emotions, but not consciousness. Consciousness is a realm which is beyond, it is the infinite, it's the universal. So it's a very subtle conversation, but humans have been good with these things, right? Even major transitions like the printing press. The church wanted to shut it down. They thought it would be used for the, for proliferating ideas that could be dangerous for mankind. But humans are good. They take it and they are able to enable life in ways that, that is life creative.
Well, how am I going to outdo that? So I've heard the concerns that are raised by the fellow speakers here, as well as in the previous discussion, especially with Faisal Aftab. He had great concerns, and probably also, the pop cultures that Fandi has referred to. It can paint a dim future. However, it's not something that we need to understand and study AI. And these are the early stages, and I feel that it's actually, it's a way to where we're leveraging all the billions of dollars that's been invested by the international big companies, and it's a way to democratize technology here. We've often seen this in the past as well, where Pakistan has been able to leapfrog certain technologies. I think we have a similar moment here. So we need to study AI, understand what it is, play around with it, and see how we can leverage it for what we are doing. So in education, we're looking at how do we help educators with their work. So for example, teachers, grading, how do we help them out there? So it's a more objective way of grading, helping them out with insights for their students, to come up with individual education plans. So it's about studying and how you apply it. But I do agree with the concerns. There has to be guidelines, there has to be railguards. There are international standards already out there. As part of the Beacon House family, we are part of this ISO certification. There's new ISO certification and guidelines if you're dealing with AI, what measures you have to take. There were concerns about data. This was a different concern that we're using someone else's biased data. It's Western data and it might not apply to us. Probably with generative AI, when we want to generate certain images, there'll be a bias that they're more Western looking than Desi looking. But there's also an opportunity where we use our own data. So you can use your own large language model, LLM. The concern there is what happens to the data that you're then sharing with a Google or a Microsoft. And then you can look at certain regions. So if you are doing that within Europe, there's GDPR standards, so it's a bit safer. But in other countries, if you've got your server and you're using their service, you might not know what they're doing with your data. So those are all things we need to study and explore, and then see how we can leverage this. Within the education system, I see great opportunity, like I said, for educators to streamline what they're doing, to help them out, to support them. For students as well, instead of enforcing a blueprint of, you have to study this, we can actually see what they're good at, and then encourage them to go in that direction. As well as for parents. So when they get feedback on their child, they might get some insight, okay, hey, isko doctor ya lawyer ya engineer nahi banna. There's other things coming up. In the last few years, we've seen jobs come up. We talked about workforce here, that's the topic. Yes, there might be certain things that are disappearing, but those are probably the more routine, boring stuff that people hate doing anyway. So it's good to automate and use AI for that. I'll end it at that and pass it on.
First of all, Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, SOT, for having us here. Truly delighted to be part of this STEAM panel. So I couldn't agree more with Raza that, of course, educator has a big role to play in this training and mentoring and creating awareness in the students, whichever grades they are, whether they're university, it's AI, and technology itself is going to play a huge role. So I think I would like to start AI can does the prediction, prescription for us, but judgment lies to human, right? So there is a human in the loop. So every day, it's not like if we are in the computer science field and we are doing the development, then we need the AI. AI, everybody is now with this OpenAI and Gen AI, every one of us, it's in our daily life. So there are three things that we do to take an advantage. As a normal person, you don't need to learn any programming for that. It's just like intelligent interrogation, which is it's prompt engineering. It doesn't require any programming. If you ask a relevant prompt or a question, you will get the relevant answer. That's an intelligent interrogation. Then the second one is a judgmental interrogation, where you ask the question and you get 3 scenarios to choose. So that's where human in the loop comes in. That you pick and judge and pick up one scenario, which will apply to your scenario and your real life. So it's a judgmental. And the third thing, which we just heard from Dr. Suhail as well, like how we train the model. Like we generate a lot of data. And I think now organization, what we are seeing is moving from the public data to their own organization data at the first place, because you generate a lot of data. How you can benefit from your data and apply the AI or Gen AI and make a judgmental or prediction about your results and the future. So this is really important. I think I'll just, since we talked to a lot of CIOs globally, and IDC has conducted a challenge in which they said that there is a 3 minutes if we want to see that, that AI word needs to come or not, and they failed. So it was so frequent in the conversation that even CIOs couldn't resist for 3 minutes, and they brought AI as a word, right? So now I think to answer your question, like how the AI success relies, it's the 3 R's. 3 R's. It's a responsibility, it's relevance, and it's reliability. So responsibility is AI security and ethics. Any good thing can be used negatively. Any good thing. Why there are hackers today? There are, right? So responsible, that's why I said responsibility on the first, and then relevance. What are your business use cases? It's not about the FOMO that you talk about the AI. What are your use cases? And your use cases needs to have a value realization model behind it. What value I'm going to extract out of this use case? It's not just the AI for the sake of AI. What is my value? What the problem I'm solving? What the opportunity I'm encashing? So that is the relevance. And relevance has also 3 components. Like there are 3 plays. How you will be relevant. Experience play. Like what you want to give experience to your students, to your partners, to your parents. That's your experience play. And second is efficiency play. In your admission process, I'm just giving you an example, but any example, any business, efficiency play, how you can optimize the process, how you can bring the efficiency in the process. And third is the capability play, where you really innovate and pivot. You really innovate and pivot and disrupt by bringing the capability, the new capability, and you just not rely on this. And of course, I said reliability is the pillar. And we just heard in the panel, like, if you don't have the reliable data, you can't take an advantage of it. If you insert garbage, you will get the garbage out. So reliability is the key. What goes in comes out of the model. Whether it's an AI model, whether it's a machine learning model, or whether it's a human Excel sheet model. So that's what is important. So I think in order for AI to be successful, 3 R's are very important. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. I think from the five gentlemen here who just spoke, we find obviously that AI can be used for good or for bad. It depends on who's behind it. What struck me about what Mr. Naqvi said in particular was the idea that I suppose all the AI that is being developed by people outside of the country that we live in. And so this idea of colonization is a very real one. I suppose I would like to ask you, if it's here and we are being colonized, then what steps would we as Pakistanis take to manage this, to extract the benefit and not be colonized yet again?
I think we need to start with one basic fact, and that is that man is Ashraful Makhlukat. It is not any title that is given to anything else. And there is nothing more wondrous than a human being. And if you bring that down a little bit, there's nothing more wondrous than a child that is learning. What is the capacity of a child to learn? We have all educators over here. And how does that child learn? No two children learn the same way. And their capacity to learn is endless. They can learn in 7 languages. They have no limits to what can be done. This AI, who created it? Man created it. If it becomes, 10 years from now, 1,000,000 times more powerful, so what? Who will be doing it? Man will be doing it. To talk about intelligence as a grade, कि 1 है, 2 है, 3 है, मैं, 100 10 के ऊपर बैठा हुआ, वो 140 के ऊपर बैठा हुआ, that means that you are talking about intelligence as being one dimensional. एक line के ऊपर आप आगे पूछो. There is no such thing. Intelligence is as multidimensional and as multifarious as a human being that we have. And in Pakistan, if we are to tackle this thing, I would say focus first and foremost, you have education, education, education. Once you do that, you realize the power that you have. You do your own research. We have, I mean, what are the grand challenges of Pakistan? इस वक्त लाहौर में आजकल कह रहे हैं कि जी 1000 हुआ है AQI. क्यों हुआ है? कैसे हुआ है? कहाँ से आया? किसने किया? क्या इसका solution है? Nobody else is going to tell us. We have to focus on placing Pakistani brain power at the center, respecting that and supporting that, and then you will see how this country will develop.
Hello, yeah. Okay, well, I'm not sure what the quality of AI education is that is available in Pakistan today, but I suppose that would be one of the things that we would have to look at in order to move forward in a beneficial way. You know, we are Ashraf al-Makhlukat. That's what came from here. Critics would say that the T-Rex thought it was Ashraf al-Makhlukat until there was a Homo sapien. Now we are giving birth to AI. I'm not sure what the answer is, but the idea that we would create something that has 1,000 times greater IQ than a human being that created it, it's becoming sentient, or that intelligence overtaking humans feeds into a discussion we had yesterday, the spirituality of it, how AI might help us transcend or evolve as human beings. Where does it go from here, if you would, please?
Sure. So the idea, which we talked about earlier.
Oh, mic is off.
Hello? Yeah. Yes. So we talked about humans. So for example, in the yogic knowledge set, right, there are 16 layers to our human being, right, and different levels of intelligence as well. For example, intellect is only one level of intelligence. There are many more layers of intelligence. For example, what did you have for lunch today? Sandwich, okay. That sandwich in your body became into your cells and became into who you are, correct? Can you imagine the kind of intelligence that it takes for that to happen? Phenomenal intelligence, and that's part of who we are. Now it's tapping into that level of intelligence within you, and humans have. So the whole idea, and for example, when I teach I teach meditation as well, right? In meditation, you realize the expansion of your being, for example, that you, like he said, Ashraf al-Makhlukat, you are much, that the spirit is closer than your Shah Rag, right, they say. So, or the divine, or the infinite capacity to happen. So humans will train, and in ancient times, prophets, great saints, they were able to access that space, right? They were able to do miracles that split the moon, open up the Red Sea. We have incredible power. They left us with playbooks or cookbooks to be able to access that capacity. Now, what has happened over the years is we've kind of dogmatized it, and we've really forgotten that's the purpose, that to evolve human beings to their highest potential. And I think this is where the human opportunity, it'll become a necessity in this new age, right? Till now, it wasn't a necessity. You could get away with a lot less. But in this day and age where you will be forced to be able to come from that space of accessing those powers within you, that is the opportunity of a lifetime, right? And humans do. I mean, we've always seen necessity is the mother of all invention. We evolve, we grow with it. And I think that's the hope that we're going to be betting on.
Excellent. Asim Saab, in my preparation for this discussion, I read an article in Forbes quoting the CEO of Google, who said that as of now, 25% of all Google code is written by AI. He did say that there are still people that are managing that code, they review it, there are senior engineers, etc. But that when he was asked about the future, maybe 5-10 years from now, he said he doesn't see the trend stopping, that there will be more and more work will be done. Routine processes are already being done by AI, etc. In Pakistan, a much touted policy we have is that we are going to become an outsourcing hub for the world. Put aside the challenges that exist today with that effort to outsource. A friend of mine in America who runs a company which is very similar to the one that you run, he mentioned to me a few months ago that he would very soon have to make some very serious decisions about whether to move forward in the new paradigm or to remain loyal to the 5,000-10,000 consultants that he employs all across the country. America is where he works. That's an American problem. Is that something similar to what you might face here? Are these questions that you are addressing?
Definitely, I think you have to change, right? So technology brings the opportunity and challenge both together, right? So, of course, if you don't use the technology and AI to automate certain things which are automatable, right, which can increase the efficiency of the developers, the quality assurance, use cases, the deployments, then of course you will be irrelevant because everybody is focusing on outcome-based. So what is my outcome? What is my value? If I'm outsourcing, what is my value? Am I spending more work or spending more money or less money? But it brings a lot of opportunities, right? Yeah, of course, it automates 10, 20, 30%, whatever, right? But it brings a humongous opportunity. Like, AI cannot be, like, data generates, tons of data is generating, like, whether it's a big data, or whether it's a structured, semi-structured, unstructured, whatever you say. The data is being coming, right? And every organization, whichever industry you talk about, whichever field, whichever individual even, teams, they all talk about transformation. And transformation doesn't happen just like thinking that I will use AI. AI can't be used if you don't have the data, if you don't have the data engineering, if you don't have the cloud, it doesn't happen. Like now I can give you an example of, let's take an example, okay, call center, like that's what you must have heard. That call center agents or call center will be the first industry will be disrupted where the machines and the bots and AI assistants and the agents and advisors will be answering those questions, right? So now AI comes with a cost as well. Like answering the call by a human in Pakistan is still 10 times cheaper than the AI because AI compute and the storage is expensive. Of course, the technology is changing and the devices and the cards and things will improve in 5-10 years, but still there is an advantage. So we have to think like this, that how we should have a change management, every organization, every individual. It's a culture and the change. First you have to accept something is real, something is transformative, something is disruptive. And now it's up to you. You don't have a choice to sit on the fence and just watch. You will be done. That's no option for us. Nobody has option. Individuals, forget about the institutions. Even individuals in daily lives don't have an option to just ignore that fact that AI is going to be transformative, right?
So the panel is about the future of work. Let me think of a diplomatic way to ask this. Do you expect that you will be employing far less people 5 years from now than you do today?
Different type of people, right? It may be more, but different type of people and different type of skills. We need to train people. As it's not like in Pakistan, we don't have like tons of people. We have to train them, mentor them, and bring them to the mix, right? So definitely it will be different type of a skill set, different type of people. The BPO industry will not be the same BPO industry. The call center industry will not be the same call center industry. The development and outsourcing will be not the similar one. So definitely, if we keep changing, it will be more people and more expensive. Even if it is a lesser, the rates will be much higher. It's all value-based. So how we calculate, if I'm bringing efficiency into your system, I'm saving you $100. I'm charging, say for example, I'm saving only 100 and I'm charging you 60 right now. If I'm going to save 200, I will not charge 60. I'll increase my share, and you will be happily paying me. So so my margins will be greater than lesser because the value generated is higher. It's all value game. It's not the other way around.
Raza, Beacon House technology is focused on leveraging technology to improve the education systems, Beacon House among them, and to improve learning outcomes, create efficiency, etc. There is research that I'm aware of that shows that a teacher without even any kind of degree, even they don't technically need a high school diploma, if they have the ability to read and write to like the 7th or 8th grade, they can use a scripted lesson learning plan to be able to improve outcomes. That's when we're using a tablet and a human being. Logic would dictate that I may not need teachers sometime in the future. I know that my own children, or the youngest one anyway, I think a substantial part of her education is imparted by YouTube. I mean, and I don't mean it like in a negative way. Obviously, they watch things that sometimes you find questionable. I mean, if they want to learn about Thailand or the Rift Valley or anything, they'll just go right into YouTube and find out what's happening. How do you see technology disrupting the way in which education is imparted to children? And what are you guys at Beacon Technology doing to leverage it?
Teachers are more than there just to, open up the lesson book and say, let's go study. They're also there to guide and mentor and, form the child. We are just helping them with, more laborious routine kind of tasks to start automating that so that they free up and have more attention for the child. So it's not, I don't foresee in the short term that there's, AI is going to replace teachers. I don't see that happening. Perhaps we can go back to COVID. I mean, for me, it was great to be able to work remotely. But pretty much after the second month, I was sick of it, and I wanted that human interaction. I wanted to go to the office and have the random chats with my colleagues at the, at the water fountain or the coffee corner. And often, that's where your best ideas come, right? Through that random interaction. So I think that human interaction will always be there. That's how we are biologically engineered, right? So I think that's important. I think AI is a tool, and we can't be afraid of it. We have to study it, and we have to use it in the way that we see it benefits our organizations, our people, and society at large.
Let me jump in here. As somebody who has spent a fair bit of time in the classroom, education process is not about the transfer of facts. जब आप एक बच्चे को पढ़ा रहे होते हैं, there 30 of them sitting over there, everyone different. एक लड़की जो कि हर दफ़ा उसका यूनिफॉर्म बिल्कुल प्रिम एंड प्रॉपर होता है, उसके अगर ज़रा सी भी एक चीज़ जब हिली भी होती है, आपकी सेकंड सेंस कहती है कि कुछ और गड़बड़ है. So there is this emotional connection, there is, a history that is there, how they walk, how they talk, what is going on, and there may be so many other things that are impacting the process. And so we have to ask ourselves, well, what is the purpose of this education that we are talking about, and what is education itself, and is there a grander thing? And get away from this notion about facts और ये वाला equation हम इस तरह से solve कर लेंगे, वो तो अभी भी हमारे पास सारे computers हैं, वो यूँ करके हम उसके अंदर डालें, वो हमारा जवाब दे देता है. So I think we have to challenge ourselves कि education है क्या चीज़, और उससे how does the human develop, how does society develop, how how does the country develop? And that is not a realm in which we are finding AI operating.
Omar, country develop. That was a key theme. Omar works on solving and does research aimed at solving some of the most basic problems. In your opening statement, you suggested there are some seriously low-hanging fruits. We have major crises in Pakistan. I mean, I suppose that we are still trying to solve many of the 20th century problems, and we are now 25 years into the 21st century. The question of AI is one we can literally explore in an environment like this. Most of our people don't even know what AI is. Tell us, in your experience, or as a part of your research, the ways in which you think AI can immediately help us to move forward as a nation.
Thank you, Sandhyar. So, abhi disruption की बात हुई थी. If I can try and maybe just categorize off the cuff how this disruption can play out. जी. So देखें, एक layer of disruption है automation की. Things that people do with manual processes. अभी भी technologies हैं जो उसको automate कर सकती हैं. AI के साथ वो acceleration और scale of automation बहुत significantly enhance और exponential हो जाएगा. दूसरा है augmentation, which is really about how do we enable humans and people to be more effective and efficient. And so जो वो काम अभी कर रहे हैं क्या वो बेहतर तरीके से कर सकते हैं और क्या उससे हम ज़्यादा अच्छे नताइज ले सकते हैं, which is a second higher order aspect of this. And then there's naturally जब ये दोनों चीज़ें होंगी तो एक displacement भी होगी. कुछ roles जो अभी बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों पे reliant हैं, वो जब automate होंगे या augment होंगे तो displacement होगी. Now the question really is कि how ready are we as a country, both across the public and the private sector, to really tackle this scale of displacement that's going to hit us. तो एक जो आपने बात की कि one, there is no ducking away from AI or global integration. So पाकिस्तान एक isolation में, एक standalone context में operate नहीं कर सकता. And if with 250 million people, which is the 5th most populous country in the world, we think that लोग यहीं पे सारा कुछ पाकिस्तान में ढूंढ लेंगे, economic और social opportunities, वो नहीं होगा. जिस rate से पाकिस्तान की economy को grow करने की ज़रूरत है to absorb all of these people, we're not even close. And so what structures exist for enabling people to benefit from this opportunity? पिछले 10 साल से हमने अपना adult literacy rate तकरीबन 60% पे stagnate किया हुआ है, right? And so we need to fundamentally rethink how ready are we from a policy perspective, which creates that enabling environment for a lot of this to be done. How capable are technical resources in the government and at the bureaucratic layers to actually enable and enact those policies? And how can we leverage the scale and innovation जो private sector as early adopters or disruptors लेके आता है to support the government? ये जो structure है of how we will rescale, upscale people who are not going to be as productive. How can we accelerate some of the very basic, वो जो आपने कहा 20th century problems हम अभी तक solve कर रहे हैं. So जो चीज़ें technology 1990 में कर सकती थी या 2000 में कर सकती थी, हम अभी तक उधर बैठे हुए हैं. तो क्या ये हमारे पास एक वो leapfrogging moment है? Absolutely. Can we leverage it? I don't think we're ready. And I don't think we're thinking about it from a structural perspective, जहाँ पे पाकिस्तान के चारों सूबों में हम एक equal opportunity bed बना सकें, हम across sectors different कर सकें. Private sector as an early adopter with the profit incentive, with higher capacity will be very quick to pick up on all of this. But can the public sector also leverage that expertise and do this? I don't think we're ready yet. I don't think at a system level हमने इतनी तफसील से इसके बारे में सोचा है. क्या हम सोच सकते हैं? Absolutely. I mean, just people sitting here thinking about all of this and packaging it in a plan for the government, absolutely. Will it be followed? I think that's where the real question is. And that's where जितने ज़्यादा लोग, जितने ज़्यादा circles में, जितनी ज़्यादा layers पे इस पे काम करेंगे, इसको raise करेंगे और practical applications देंगे. I think Asif talked about use cases. वो जो use cases में demonstration effect है, I think that's something that we need to create at scale to catalyze this entire process.
Naeem, So on the one hand, we are not really ready to make choices that existed and that we needed to make before we even got to the age of AI. On the other hand, you know, I felt we skirted around the issue of the potential impact on work. But I don't have a horse in this race. It seems to me that most people here, myself included, or people with my skill sets included, will not have work. I feel that way. And I feel that it's not that work will disappear. You very rightly pointed out that the work will change, the nature of it. But the more and more routine processes and basic processes are automated, and then when you integrate AI with robotics, and then labor is being done by robots, it's all not very far away. We are going to have a society that, not just in Pakistan, but in Pakistan it might be exacerbated, but in the rest of the world, where we need to find something for people to do. It's kind of ironic in a sense that the unbridled capitalism of the 20th and early 21st century has brought us to a place where we might have to build a new neo-socialist type of system. I mean, you know, there's talk of universal basic income in America. Imagine that. It's been going on for the last 5-10 years. Paint a picture quickly for us of where this goes post the low-hanging fruits and the technological breakthroughs that AI brings. And then after that, any of the other panelists, please feel free to comment. We have 17 minutes to go. Ideally, we'd like to give 15 minutes to the audience to ask questions. Go ahead.
I think, for example, there are mostly educators over here, right? And till now, education is all about developing the intellect. I think there's going to be a major, major shift, for example, in education, where the whole education system will be about developing agility, courage, right? Confidence, a whole different skill sets to be able to live in this new world, right? Because I think 95% was focused on the intellect. Now it will have to be other way around, right? Most of the intellectual stuff can be enabled using AI. So that's a major, major shift. And humanity will also evolve. The kind of opportunities and what we will be doing. You've all seen, you said Star Trek, right? Or Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars kid also. I mean, there's a universe out there to be, there's a lot that has to be done. The creativity will be unleashed in ways that we can't even imagine. And that's why I truly believe that's the age of human flowering, right? When we really evolve to the next step. Also, see, once a human comes into his spirit, what happens? He feels oneness with everyone else, right? He feels a sense of belongingness to this universe. He treats the world very differently. And that's the age we want to create. We want to create children who have that kind of feeling with them. Not just intellectual prowess, but a capacity to be able to live and thrive in this new age. So I feel that there is a major transition in terms of how we do education, right? How we enable people's lives. And there's a whole new world of possibilities that will open up, whether it's content creation. I'm on a board of a company called Luminari, right, out of Islamabad, which is making Star Wars-like movies, right, using a small team of people in ways that weren't possible. Instead of the $100 million budget that Sharmeen Obeid-Chinoy has, they're doing it with $100,000. Massive innovation and how content and how relevance will be enabled in very powerful ways.
So, अभी भी अगर आप देखें future of work के जितने analysis हो रहे हैं, there are a lot of global organizations doing that. We should have one in Pakistan who's looking at how 250 million people in Pakistan, what future of work looks like for them. जो आपके top 4 या 5 skills आ रहे हैं जो आगे future में सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी होंगे, उसमें collaboration, problem solving, critical thinking, ये सारी चीज़ें आ रही हैं. And I don't think I need to explain it to anyone where as a system we stand on all of these right now. And so really when AI takes care of all the things that we now focus on as people and individuals and thinkers, will the space for all of this get created? Theoretically, yes. Again, practically उसको करने के लिए हमें क्या करने की ज़रूरत है? Plus, reskilling is the only skill that's going to matter as AI progresses, right? So जो आज हमने सीखा है वो उतना relevant नहीं होगा 2 साल बाद, थोड़े से बाद वो 6 महीने बाद obsolete होना शुरू हो जाएगा. And so what are those inherent capabilities and curiosities that will enable that reskilling. It's also a culture thing. वो आप इसको mechanical नहीं बना सकते. And so, as a nation, do we have that culture in place? How can we seed and curate that culture? That's a really important aspect. और वो role models जो हैं वो again सिर्फ school में नहीं हो सकते, सिर्फ दफ्तर में नहीं हो सकते, वो communities and society से निकलते हैं. And so I think there's a very strong, जो नईम भी कह रहे थे कि the human element of how all of this plays out will have to be really front and center. And again, people have to benefit from AI. So the centering on the people part is really, really important.
To the techies on the panel, both of you gentlemen over here, you know, obviously this is about the future of work. Asim Saab, you suggested that there would be different kinds of work. There are educators here who deal with children, students every day. Any advice for the kind of IT training and skill sets that need to be developed for the future generations?
This is the most important, right? Because foundation, this is how, and I think, as I said, in today's world, it's not like you need to be the solid programmer from the day one. We don't look for people who has a like language specific and they need to code. Basically, it's a creative thinking, it's analytical capabilities and the problem solving approach. That is the most important element right now. And if they can question why I'm reading this, how this math will be applied, how this math will be used, how this stats can be used, because it's all about making sense. So, because now low-code, no-code platforms to code generations, to Gen AIs, and all of things are available to learn and code. And you can come up with, but if you are not trained and your mind is just ratta or just memorizing, then you can't have a solid foundation and soft skills. I think, of course, as we just heard as well, like you can learn from the YouTube and everything, but EQ is very important. You can't compromise on EQ, right? So unless your emotional intelligence and your culture, and you are not like empathy, humility, you can't be a team player, right? If you are not team player, how would you build a larger scheme of thing? So teaming is a verb and that needs to be taught. So soft skills, communication skills, presentation skills, and these things can be taught without, you don't need like huge devices and the supercomputers to teach all of these things. So if we focus on the basics, the kids will come and they can learn anything, because as I'm saying, now in the past when we used to code C++ and all these assembly languages, it was difficult, it was different. We didn't have that kind of a coding examples on Google available like left, right, and center. We can't ask OpenAI or ChatGPT where I'm stuck, help me out. So now the world is changed, so we need to change. So we need to work on the basics. And if the basics are not correct, you can't teach AI or data or anything, believe me.
I'm actually seeing that with the younger generation. So when I'm interviewing and recruiting for new positions, you know, for people who have children, like a 3-year-old will know how to use an iPad. You know, they can't read, but they know exactly how to use it. I'm seeing that with the younger generation. They're actually much quicker at adopting AI. So I've got developers, and with the younger ones, I'm like, you know, just solve this problem. And I don't give any hints of how to go about it. I'm just share your screen and solve it. And then they ask, can we use this? I'm like, yeah, use whatever you want. And I literally had a guy who solved the problem in 10 seconds. He used AI and generated all the tests, and the code was perfect. And I interviewed also more senior people, but they're used to the old way, and they were like rewriting C, right? So they're reinventing the wheel because that's what they're used to. So I don't see an issue with the adaptation, reskilling. People are very, you know, they have this huge capacity to adapt, and they'll figure out how to use the tools. Especially in Pakistan, people are very creative and innovative. There's usually an issue with software when we create it and design it and we roll it out, and then people use it on all sort of different ways that we couldn't even imagine. So I think people here have the capacity to take on AI, study it, and leverage it to the max.
And you can even study AI on YouTube. So, you know, worst case scenario, you get the most incredible people in the world on YouTube to tell you how to use and leverage AI as well.
The thing was also like, you know, previously if I had junior developers, I would need a technical lead. But now that technical lead is right there on the screen, looking over their shoulder and telling them, hey, this is what you need to do. So it's for me, it's a huge cost saver, right? I can take a junior, I can give them AI, and they get expert guidance from all the repositories in the world. I find it quite incredible.
Good stuff. Sir, aap kuch kehna chahiye?
I just read an article yesterday by a Cambridge professor of classics who resigned. And he resigned in protest because he said that at Cambridge University, which is ranked #1 in the world, they are infantilizing education. So I just want to throw a note of caution. What that means is that learning and engaging with difficult topics is a tough process. Iske andar you have to sweat it out. You have to work hard. This is not going to be easy. The problems that we deal with in real life are multidimensional and very, very difficult. We can't be mollycoddling children and placing them into a world that is going to be putting these tough demands on them. So as we refocus on education and go back to the basics, we have to keep that in mind, that the world out there, this is a ruthless and a tough world out there, and there are tough questions that you have to wrestle with.
And to the questions from the audience, first one we have, how can AI help create more inclusive opportunities for people from diverse backgrounds? It says it's for you, Umar, but anyone else welcome to answer also.
Sure. So actually, पिछली SOT पे एक AI and education का panel था जिसमें हमने इसी को किया, and you know, shamefully the sad reality is I don't think there's anything happened in that 1 year where we moved the needle on something like this. So I think अगर हम करना चाहें तो बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं as using AI as a leveler. I think in the context of Pakistan and the range of issues that we face across health, education, बाकी sectors, making information and content available in very, very tailored ways. So जहाँ पे literacy barriers हैं, वहाँ पे AI उस barrier को bridge करके भी आपको चीज़ें पहुँचा सकता है, सिखा सकता है. Access to information, I think, is one of the most powerful ways in which we can create more inclusive opportunities. Given language barriers in Pakistan, especially to be able to access high quality education content, real-time translations can be a game changer. इसी तरह I think just in terms of a range of decisions that people make, especially in the public sector, more informed decisions based on data that is collected, processed, validated, and used more efficiently and timely can be a game changer. So I think बहुत सारे use cases हैं across sectors. Accuracy of information, availability of information, supporting processes that enable access to services जिसके लिए लोग ready नहीं हैं, are probably some of the quickest wins that I think we can use AI for.
Dr. Naqvi, there's a question for you also. It refers to how universities can prepare Pakistan's college students for AI jobs.
I believe that the conclusion of this discussion has been that AI-driven jobs are focusing on the human aspect, where the humans excel, which is the emotional part, which is the creative part. So that means that the universities have to pull back with stuffing the curriculum, which is what they are doing at this time, and to let the mind free and to talk about engaging the topic with the issues that people are going to be facing. And the issues has to be something that they relate to. It is when the heart gets engaged, is when the real creativity is going to kicking in. So the challenge for our universities is that leave aside the part that the computer is going to do very well, use the tools actually, and engage with the real issues. The most difficult problems in the world are the ones that are real. the ones that you face every day.
Excellent. For you, Naeem, how do you see AI impacting leadership, corporate leadership, and decision-making?
See, so leadership always has been about providing clarity and conviction to what you're doing as an organization, right? And then bringing the right people around it. And number three, helping, coaching them, counseling them. That's what leadership is really about. I think till now, you know, because of the older structures, we had very structured, you know, large, spread out, sprawling, deep organizations where this wasn't required. And you had, I think it's going to become much, much more important that leadership now lives from that space, because to be able, your conviction and clarity will enable and drive a reality, right? Ability to create is becoming, once you imagine it, it's becoming easier and easier to manifest it. Like in software, you can make your own app with just if you're clear about what you want and then be able to drive it forward. Those skills will become much more sharpened, right? To be able to succeed in this new age. This was true in Silicon Valley. When I used to be a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, I remember I used to be an associate first, working with a partner. And the first time I met a 17-year-old who had come to us for investment. But the kind of conviction and energy and commitment he had to it, and he didn't know what was possible or not impossible. And my partner actually made a $2 million bet on him, right? And I was kind of surprised. And over the years, I saw that this guy didn't succeed. But the second time around, when he built a second company, when we reinvested, he really built a world-class company and we sold it for like $1 billion or something like that, right? So it's really, these are the qualities of leadership that will become far more real in this new world order, right? Where power will be driven by really conviction, clarity, and courage to follow through with it.
Excellent. The last question for the two gentlemen at the end, the technology guys. How do you, in the context of AI, how should companies approach balance between automation and human talent? And obviously, given the emotional quotient of being a human being, how would you balance it? I would further the question, how would you balance it in favor of human beings, as opposed to the profit motive?
No, I think, of course, automation also requires human as well, right? So human in the loop is must. That's what I started with that. Like AI and data can predict and prescribe to you, but judgment lies to humans. So automation is important, efficiency is important, experience is important, capability creation is important. You can't live without it, right? So this is not an option anymore. Okay. So, but humans have to use those technologies in hand and bring that value. I think when anything that you want to do, it has to associate directly with the value. Yeah. If you do that, I think human talent will unleash more and more efficiency and experience plays that which enhances the organization value. So I think it's, in my humble view, it's of course, technology adoption is important. Technology change, embracing that change is important, and doing the disruption, using that technology is in humans' hand, right? So if you don't use it, and as I said, if you don't use it responsibly, you will be screwed in different ways. No doubt.
Panelists, thank you for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, the session is just about over. AI is here. Whether it has made it to Pakistan yet or not properly is yet to be seen. The best we can do is try to harness its power, bring our ethics, our humanity, everything that makes us human to it, and hope that it turns out for the best. Thank you all. I would like to thank our sponsors. I would like to thank our sponsors, UBL, Franklin Covey, Wateen, My Backpack, MK Books, Allied Bank, and there's one more here, Kafayat. Thank you all. You've been a great audience.